Hey, how's it going? Okay, you.
Or good
Could be good to
afternoon.
get this finished. Sorry.
We've been nearly finished for a long time now. I'm getting used to that feeling. I'm looking forward to the feeling of being absolutely finished.
No.
I still believe in it. It's not just a myth.
Okay, I can hear you now. Huh. Did you say you're finished with what?
No, Michael said we were nearly finished. I said I was looking forward to being really finished.
Oh, yeah. Same.
That beautiful fantasy world off in the distance, just over the horizon.
That's a great conversation we're having. Let's talk more about finishing.
Yeah, unfortunately, Gory couldn't make it for personal reasons. He emailed me.
Hey, folks, gonna be in Prague?
Not me. No, I think my IETF meeting days are behind me now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't show up in San Francisco, so he kind of
I know. So that it doesn't get any
feared
closer.
as much.
There's one LA IETF, like in 2000, but yeah, I don't have any support for travel, and the day job is incredibly time consuming.
Too bad.
Well, no, I also can't. It's the same. I was just curious. Same thing. No more support for travel, really.
Oh no.
So I will have some. Maybe I'll make it to the one in Australia, maybe. But the Prague one doesn't fit in terms of time, at least.
Yeah, I'm coming to the Prague meeting.
Greece, at least you get to work with Australians all the time.
Yeah, and I'm also traveling to Australia next year.
Okay.
So that'll be fun. I've never been to Australia.
I've had several enjoyable trips. If you can get into the rainforest, do like a nature tour, it's worth seeing. There's a lot of unusual animals, wild animals out there.
Cool.
And all unusual animals in Australia out to kill you?
Yeah, there's that. That's part of what makes it exciting.
Cool. Yeah, I might stick to more of an urban tour. Gotta see Melbourne because that's where my colleagues live. Even though I know it's not close to Brisbane. It's closer than
That's
ever.
nice. Been there several times. It's quite nice.
Okay, let me check that doodle again. Of course, once I show the time, it doesn't even show me my participants, does it? So useful. Oh no, it does. Okay. So we got Colin who RSVP.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, Philip.
Hey.
Hey.
I'll turn off my video. Make room for others.
I mean, I think we got plenty of space.
Yeah, but Meet Echo is not nearly as good as WebEx for actually
Yeah, I thought it was a feature request. I thought we made that feature request to have more concurrent tiles. But I forget what the outcome was. I love the Minecraft or what it is in the background.
I know, I was watching that too.
Yeah, that's my 8-year-old.
Gotcha. Okay, well, we got people showing up who weren't in the doodle. We still have Colin who RSVP'd yes in the doodle, but who's not here. Gory couldn't make it for personal reasons, unfortunately. We want to get started. And if
I
so,
think we may
who's
as well. We've got enough
volunteering?
people here to have an argument. That's why I showed up.
Potentially. Yeah. Okay, and if we're getting started, do we have a volunteer to drive our not slides, GitHub? Please.
Michael, are you able to do that again? My local.
Yeah, sure, can do it.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Let's see. Okay. Recursion. That's not it, no.
Screenception.
PRs. I think it's PRs where we start.
All right, let's make that bigger, please.
Yeah, right. Like that?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just go through them. Bottom to top. All this first. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know much about these things. So I don't care much. Fine with me.
I think. I guess we should have at least discussed it whether it makes sense to have it in the endpoint. But thinking about the use cases, I guess if you would force an ALPN through an endpoint, you would usually do it the other way around. You would call it with service HTTP, and then some of the magic would end up in discovering that TLS with HTTP2 would be an option, and then setting the LPN in that candidate. So I guess from a logic standpoint, it makes sense to only have it for TLS, and so only in the security parameters. And have into mind that probably if you're using it very high levelly, requesting a special service could in the end result in setting an ALPN. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Should I commit that? Probably. Right. Yeah, no, the thing I'm just doing, this is just a capitalization. I'll let you edit your own. Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, tell me when I should refresh. Sure.
Michael, while Tommy's typing, can you tell me what sort are you using to work through these? We should probably start with the ones that need the most discussion.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think we should do that because they're pretty simple. I think we can pretty easily go through the pull requests.
Yeah, there's not that many. The issues is longer, but yeah.
Okay, so this is the new thing here. Note that the transport services system can provide API values automatically based on the protocols being used, if not explicitly specified by the application. All right, are we okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, well, commit. Oh, it's outdated. Refresh and try again. Okay, okay. Yeah. All right. Okay, then I'll just merge it. I'll do that. Let's not spend time waiting. Somebody else can merge it. I'll go on to the next. Yeah. That is maybe the most discussion intensive one, isn't it? Make transport property names more strict. Or maybe we have already converged. I'm not sure. Maybe we have converged already on that one. That was the latest version of something we have discussed quite a bit last time. So maybe this is already it. Saying that then the case insensitive underscore is only at the first position. Camel case. Yeah. The idea is that you shouldn't be allowed to use an underscore just for the fun of it. You should only be using it as you transfer it into snake case, because otherwise we could get a.
So we had a lot of discussion about transport property names, and we ended up in saying, "Oh, let's camel case them in the documents," but let it relatively open what the implementation does in the end with it. And so the idea was to say, let's keep it very strict and short with the options what you can use as a transport property name, and allow the implementation to somehow transpose it in a way that maps nicely to, depending on the language, constants, symbols, strings, whatever is used in the implementation in the end. And so we say in the document we're doing camel casing, but if you have an implementation where snake case is the default, then you can just transpose the names there. I think it's the discussion and the round we had after last comment. So yes,
Yeah.
it makes sense to make them case insensitive. Just to remove a lot of the potential chaos you could get otherwise. But then what's the use in having hyphens and camel casing as delimiters? I think this also makes the potential for confusion pretty high. And then came the discussion was why don't we just allow the language to transpose it in a way that fits nicely in the environment? So we still keep the camel case for the documents, and I think we should really recommend anyone if they have within a document use camel casing. But the implementation can transpose it in any way that they like. And to make this transposing safe, we remove the underscore from the allowed character set. Yes, this prevents kebab case, but I hope no one is really interested in doing kebab case here.
Don't even know what that is.
It's like snake case, but with dashes instead of underscores.
Oh.
What? Never mind.
Google
Carry
kebab
on.
case.
The weirdest things
Who does
exist.
this belong to now?
I'm envisioning there's a whole menagerie of cases that just pick, random pieces of punctuation to stick between words. It starts to look like my password file.
But I mean, maybe another reason. The thing is also, if we allow the underscore plenty, then maybe it becomes a bit confusing as well, because the underscore has this extra role of the differentiating between the vendor namespace and the IETF defined namespace. So normally you should have a camel case type name which begins with a vendor if it's vendor specific, and then an underscore only in this one place. Except when it's turned into snake case.
So I missed.
I think digits can just happen. If you have different names of protocols, this can happen. Whether we need hyphens, I'm open for discussion.
I mean, the digits, you may have a special way of doing something where you even use the RFC in the name, perhaps.
But do we have it in the document? So I missed
No.
the last discussion on this, but I mean, as I understand the issue, it's only about how they are specified in the document, right? That was the original question, if I understand it correctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But do we need to specify beyond what we specify in the document?
Yeah, I think that's what's been discussed so long, that we need that for the future. I mean, that's why we have the vendor specific namespace and all these kinds of things.
Yeah.
So Just a quick question on the just a quick question on the leading underscore. I mean, thinking about Go, for example, leading underscore actually has meaning for variable naming. So if the goal of allowing underscores is to and some kind of behavior where an implementation may behave as if it removes all but the first underscore if it's the first character in the name, and then lowercase is the whole thing. That may still like be an anti-pattern for something like Go, and that then I think calls into more question. I think Tommy's point of like what are we trying to achieve with limiting these names?
I think the basic
Right.
thing, we wanted to achieve is having them as clear and as least confusing as possible. And having seen people defining wild chaos between underscores, hyphens, and camel casing in, for example, REST endpoint names, and mixing that in one API, I think restricting that as much as possible could make it really hard to create such a mess with the transport properties. And I think this is the only reason why we want to really restrict that.
I th- I mean, giving a description like we have up until the mention of the hyphen is probably is probably reasonable, right? Because you want to give at least a bit of a hint of how they are supposed to be written as people define new ones. But if we would just remove that sentence here about the underscore, I mean, if we just say nothing about it, and add the underscore maybe up there, right? Saying the hyphen and the underscore, and just leave it at that.
The question is, what does it help to allow the underscore?
Makes things easier in Go, as we had.
Well, and I think also C, right? C reserves the entire namespace of names that begin with an underscore.
Yeah.
Right. Like if the way that I read this intent of make these names look fitting for the surrounding language. If you're in C, it kind of doesn't matter. Like you're working with strings, unless you have an implementation that's decided to give them names. So yeah, that's where I get confused about the intent. Like
So I'll make a proposal here. Yeah.
I guess this was always fueled by discussions and people arguing, oh, you say these are alphanumeric streams. Could you be more specific? Could you describe that more clearly? And I think the latest case was really, so this PR was really fueled by all the discussions we had and all the reviews asking for lock that down, make that clearer. What's the real syntax? So I think it's not of particular importance, but it seems to be of importance for people who reviewed it or came into discussions. This is the reason for that PR.
Well, can we
So
add
is
like a
that-
normative should? Like implementations should make these names consistent with the typical the style, the typical style of their implementation environment. Yeah.
Mm. Mhm.
Well, and going back to your earlier question, Tommy, of like, what's the point of having a hyphen? Can I ask, like, what's the point of not allowing UTF characters? Yeah.
So I'm completely fine. I'm completely fine to change that. Say transport properties are strings that should be consistently camel cased. This would be completely fine with me without any further requirements or restrictions.
Okay.
Nein,
I mean, now we've been discussing strings
Sorry.
for half an hour. Should we just? I mean, what if somebody just makes a PR and we go to the next issue or the next PR?
So I'm fine to make a different PR and to ask it that way. The question is just in the round. What's the general feeling? Do you want to make it more strict, more open? Give a give a little bit more guidance how they should look like, or what's the general idea?
I think I'm agreeing. Oh, go ahead. I think I'm agreeing with Tommy. Like I don't see really the point of being prescriptive about this. Like, for example, even if we say like they should be camel case, does that prevent localization to some languages like Arabic, for example, that don't, or well, maybe not Arabic, but languages that don't have distinct casing, for example. I don't know, like if transport properties are referred to by property names, these names are strings. Like that seems fine. And we could say UTF-8 strings if we wanted to, you know.
Yeah, we defined that already.
Okay, yeah, great. So that's redundant.
Yes. Yeah. 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 I mean, that underscore thing is already written somewhere in the hidden part here. It's already there.
Yeah.
So I think you just need to write this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on.
That's completely fine with me.
Okay. Thank you. Protocol identifiers are strings. What? Yes. These things. That will close a lot, and I think it was relatively easy. Are strings where slashes separate protocol names. The API documentation of a transport services system implementation ought to contain a list of. Yeah, right. That was a discussion we had last time, right? That we don't let users query. We don't need that, and I think it's somewhere written that there should be documentation for it. I guess, yeah, the documentation ought to contain a list of the protocols. And we don't actually recommend choosing a protocol. Yeah, that's what that is. How does it? Gory liked it. Do we have a suggestion or a verdict? Yeah, I mean, there's the with protocol. Like below, you have that line here with protocol quick, but I think it's used in a few places. That's where the question came up. You know, that was Lars, I think, asking like, how would we know all these things? And what about TLS/TCP or whatever? Like, how many different things are possible? And then we started discussing, should the system allow to query? And last time we agreed that no, it should just be a statically written list somewhere in a documentation or somewhere saying that's what you can choose from.
If we have
non-normatively,
if we have a thing that says that they're separated by slashes, I think it would be helpful to have an example that shows what that looks like.
well, like
yeah.
You want well, at least strings. They at least the type we have to identify, right? Like the with call gets a type. So at least strings probably make sense. We can separate them with a space or whatever. We can say just strings. We can do that. True. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, wait. I mean, there's one problem with that. So if I go out here, there's another PR that I made a little earlier today where I give all these string proposals, but that's to address. So it says string, right? But that's yeah, but that is because we were asked to specify a type, right? So we should say something. We should give a type, and it has to be a type from the list of types that we have. We can't just not say anything and then in your implementation it becomes an object, I suppose, at least not according to that review. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So is that the defined type that we have? Area of, what is it? Area of unsigned integers probably when we...
Didn't we define it? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And
Well, then we don't need to say anything maybe.
yeah.
It just is what it is. Oh yeah, then we probably can even remove saying what it is. It's an address, right? Okay. Yeah, I'll just... Yeah, cool. That is better. Yeah. And then, yes. Okay, but I think then we can commit this one at least. And to get back to the question, I mean, the reason I opened that is that, oh, I just merged it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't take your commit. Yeah, just do it to master. Oh, I'm sorry for that. Apologies. But the reason I pulled that one up, right, was that you said here that you would just hand over an object. Was it here? Yeah. Instead of having a string, but everything else is kind of, I mean, they were asking us to specify the type everywhere of the types that we have. So yeah. Container list. maybe what if we say, what if we do this? I mean, if we take out this sentence here about protocol specifiers are strings, blah blah. If we take this out, and otherwise then just say this, or maybe not even. I mean, maybe not. Maybe there's not even a need to say that. I mean, it's specific to the language, right? Yeah, because if I just remove it all, then I end up not addressing the comment. That's the problem. That would be great. Thanks. Okay, I'll go to the next. These are not exciting discussions. Dealing with if-then type clauses. So much just editorial. Yeah, that stuff. Okay. Yeah, what do you all think? Do you know what that is? This is this, there was this text in the, let's see, or an integer or something. I don't know where to find this. Maybe, I know, bounds maybe there. Yeah, so we have these things, right? I don't know if you see my screen, by the way. It's probably too small. If you can see it, this is an example where, no, here, group connection limit, right? Where I wrote, well, we wrote, if this property is numeric, it controls this, right? And then there is numeric or unlimited. And somebody didn't like that, saying, how would you define unlimited, for example? And that was, in that case, I think, for the checksum length. So the first proposal that I made was to just define tuples with everything for a Boolean, and Philip didn't like that because it's heavy-handed, which I can agree with. And then what I did is to keep it just in as it is, but just always add that sentence here saying it's supposed to express that in an environment typical way, and that became from Philip as a union type or a special value. And that's what we now have in all these places. There are, what, 5 occurrences or something where...
That's fine, but like I remember, I think I'm actually responsible for this language from however long ago it is. Hi, everyone, by the way, sorry I'm late. This was supposed to, like, people were supposed to notice that numeric non-negative or unlimited was just use -1, right? And I'm a little like, make it signed and use -1. And I'm like, this is fine. Like, I would, is this the thing where we have to reply, or like, I feel like this is a I want a specification that fits my ANSI C sort of view of the world that I can implement directly, and that's not what this is. So I think it's fine to do this. I think it makes the document slightly clunky. You know, maybe non-negative or unlimited is too semantic / too subtle, in which case this is fine, but it surprises me that we're having this discussion.
Yeah, we don't need to answer it. It's just a comment that came.
Yeah,
but
I would maybe merge other things first.
Then let's merge it, I suppose. Is everybody okay with it? Oh, it has conflicts. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Then we go on to the next.
I don't like it enough to fix conflicts.
Yeah, no, I can do it. I love it so much. I can do that later. So opportunistic security is unauthenticated. Oh, that was a very simple one. That was just a comment saying about this, right? If security is opportunistic, it will allow connections to just still go on and try if available, and that should be unauthenticated security. It's unauthenticated security if it's available. That's what it now says. Okay.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. I can take a look. Which one was that? This one. Oh, good. Thanks. Oh, okay. To scope an alias to apply condition item specific. Okay. Okay, I'll do that. I'll read the top part. Scope an alias to apply condition to a specific transfer protocol, such as defining an alternate port to use when quick is selected as opposed to TCP. An alias endpoint can be associated with a protocol identifier. And what is it we had before? Oh, just to give an example of why would anybody even do that. Yeah, right, I got that. Protocol identifiers are, yeah, are objects or enumeration values provided by the Transport Services API, which will vary based on which protocols implement a particular system. And then that's the garbage, I think, yeah.
Yeah, there's some, yep.
Yeah, doing it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There was actually no need for me to write that. I just felt, because we always had this kind of agreement that we wanted this, like with that people shouldn't normally do it, but it's fine by me. And that, yeah, okay. So for sure that everybody will agree with. Last time I forgot to commit one. Sorry. Anyway, are people okay with this? Others? Shall I just commit and merge? As I would? Yeah, you do it. And others would have had an opportunity to speak up, I think. Let's move on a little bit. HTTPS can use TLS, TCP for quick, for example. What was that even? Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. What are the protocol implications? So the point is that this is just an example because that should be up to the system. Yeah. So we made it an example. Since this protocol is not used, the Transport Services System chooses to basically explain as an answer to that request. So the reason to add it was just to give an answer here. Like, this is Lars reading it and trying to understand what HTTPS means, right? Does it implicitly set TCP TLS, or is it missing from the example, or what other implications are defined? And I think it's clear that HTTPS just means that, but whatever protocol is below, you may not know, right? Could be quick. And
Anything, right?
what?
Setting with protocol is a different thing, is it not? It means that the underlying system can be resolved in different ways, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that, I mean, we could also just close it. So the idea was, instead of just closing it, I thought we can just give an example to clarify to somebody wondering what does it mean if I specify HTTPS here. We can, definition. Yeah, it's an identifier that maps to a port. True. Yeah, anyway, there's another one of the issues that we have, right? There was a request from 2 people to say that wanted to know if this service is the service from the list of IANA well-defined port names. And if so, we should say that. And we haven't done that yet. But yeah. So I mean, that just makes it even clearer that this is what we're picking here. That will happen, right, when we address that comment.
The technical term for that is a service name.
Yeah. So we can just, so you want to close that one? We can do that. Yeah, but maybe it's gonna be clarified enough by this. I mean, as we will address this other issue that isn't yet, that doesn't yet have a PR where we talk about what the service is, saying this is just a service name according to this list. I don't know. But since you type, okay. Shall I go on in the meantime, or do you want to be? Okay.
But while you're talking, I think picking a service name is going to do more than just. I mean, the port will also then give you the rest, right? So, I mean, if I'm gonna specify just with the host name and the service name, otherwise will this not be underspecified? Okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
It's just a system. Oh yeah, it's an example, right? So that's why you're so specific. Works for me. Shall we do that? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Doing it. Thank you. And the service name is, yeah. Shall I merge it?
Do it.
I'll do it. Okay, for changes checks haven't completed. Yeah, come on. Okay, later. Initial message will be safely replayable. Oh yeah, that one. Right, so I can explain this briefly. The proposal from Lars here was that this is too specific. He said it's awfully specific. That we say use 0 RTT session establishment with a safely replayable message. And the proposal is that maybe we should just say the initial message will be safely replayable. I agree with that. I made a PR that does that, and that's how it looks like. Just saying this. And this is a point where I disagree with Phil, because Phil thinks that we should keep the message there that tells that we want to choose a protocol that does aggressive transportation initiation. Whereas I think we don't, in my opinion, we don't need it because, I mean, this is explained below. It's explained below the name. And in my opinion, it's a bit similar to saying instead of saying unreliable, we choose unreliable in order to have a protocol that does not give us unnecessary retransmissions. It's like you just specify how the data looks and what you give to the system below, and why else would you specify such a thing? And it's explained what's the point of specifying such a thing, right? Just like it is for reliable or unreliable. So that's where the discussion is. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think this is not a, is that a preference? Oh, okay. That is all okay for a preference. Okay, now I see why this is awkward. I mean, for a preference, this is a bit strange. Yeah. Oh yeah, that is right. Yeah.
Can we just cut the last part and say use zero RTT session establishment?
Yeah, exactly. And drop the safely replayable part maybe, because that is part of the description.
Yeah, so we added it to make sure that you don't pick it by mistake. Not knowing that you have to ensure that the first message is safely replayable, you mean?
I mean, we can also just not address that issue, right? This is not a. I mean, this is not a discuss or anything. It's just a comment saying it's awfully specific. I mean, yeah, okay. It looks a bit weird for being so long. I mean, I see that, but I mean, I hear your arguments. Maybe I'm okay. I just want to address it quickly, but I agree. Can just have all these things have a lot of discussion behind them, prior discussion. So we could also just leave it.
Yeah, I would leave it too.
All right, so we close. Okay. Maybe we should write something here. Piv. Just specifying what happens. Property requests. And is that an okay answer? I mean, it's just a comment.
Yep.
Just put in the comment. If you don't like the comment, comment on the comment and whatnot. We can just. So closing. That's the thing. Okay. Can go back to the pull requests. Nice. Not much left. Ignore to none. Yeah. Okay. I don't have a strong opinion. I mean, I can see where this comes from, that you see this and you think that it's a bit weird to have ignore and then it means no preference. And he suggests to have none. So I made a PR for it. I mean, I do like none. I also feel this is weird. But sure, there are good reasons either way. I mean, if you look at the PR and you scroll down at the end, if you want an example for why it can be awkward, here it's awkward, right? Because congestion control none gives the indication of there is no congestion control and not no preference.
Yeah,
we could
no
do
preference
that.
Is better.
We could do that as well. Yeah. Okay. I mean, is that what we want? Then I'll just change it. Okay. Agreement. Change it to no preference. Okay. All right. I could do it later as well. All right. Then there was something about PVD identification. Whew. Yeah. Anybody else want to talk about this? I don't. Because they're in a portable standard, and now it says. It said there is no portable standard format. Yeah, right. This has been overtaken by events, as we say.
Yep.
So is that okay? Shall we just merge it?
Merge it.
Am I only talking to Brian and Tommy here?
As long as I don't object, I agree. But my phone is not so good.
Okay.
I turn it off so not wake
transfer property names more strict. Right. Did we? What was it about that one? I don't remember now. Did we make a? Oh, that's the one where Tommy will make a proposal later. I remember that. So we can go to issues.
Yeah.
Okay. What I did is the ones where at least I proposed that we should just close it and do nothing. I added the won't fix label. That's the only thing I did about these labels here.
Real quick, let's just look at those and
the won't fix ones.
Let's just pop through. Let's pop through the won't fixes real quick.
Yeah.
We just filter on won't fix and.
Okay. Yeah.
Bring them up. Give everybody 5 seconds to object.
Yeah. Isn't the act of not reading and resulting buffer growth already providing this back pressure? I found it's an interesting idea. Then I understood it doesn't make sense. It cannot really work.
Now in a callback-based environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Yep. Close it.
So done.
Woot.
Next. Port integer type. Oh, that's. Oh, you mean just the label itself? Yeah, sorry. Next. What? Oh, yeah. I was confused by this. Previously, only length unlimited integer types were defined. I thought, does he mean that we should define it everywhere, or what is going on here? And then I saw, no, that's not the case.
Close it.
There's no problem.
Or we can change TCP to allow 32-bit port numbers, which would fix a lot of problems.
Oh, I should reopen. In an option or what?
If you use a 32-bit port number, it builds over into the remote side.
It's good to check that everyone's awake.
You're being trolled, Philip.
Adding a TCP option, right? This one in section 10, an example of using quick will be helpful even if encryption is ignored. And right, I think this was about.
Okay, did 1424 get merged? Yes.
Yeah, already it did.
Cool.
Oh yes,
okay.
and I think this
one's done.
I think Anna's suggestion was in there as well to at least give a few examples of port mappings. I've seen that. So I'll close it.
Did Rory add that, or?
Yeah, it seems.
I didn't add it to 1424.
Yeah, take a look. Take a look. I can show you.
Okay. No, that's fine.
This here.
It was just that he said add
This is
it.
new.
He added it, I guess.
That thing, I saw that today. This offers generic and also the protocol for TCP, UDP, UDP Lite, and other protocol layers. A couple of examples, and then it says extensible and could be also including quick in the future. That sounded to me like it addresses what you wanted.
Yeah. I just thought that as we had several comments on quick, I think that it could be, good to clarify it also in that draft.
Okay. MPTCP. Was MPTCP left out on purpose?
Yes.
Yeah. Simply, it doesn't have any influence on the API, really. Hardly any. And that's the thing. So yeah, close. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Close. Done. Won't fix. Application changing partial message while sending. That's the one where we thought, or I don't know, just me always. Anyway, this is too specific to the system. You know, you start sending a message and then the rest of the message you change while you started sending, and you shouldn't be doing that. But that's really getting into implementation details. I mean, obviously it shouldn't, but.
Hold on, let me see if there's something hiding here. Yes. This is too detailed for that API and has left the implementation. He is correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, freeing the object and so on, that's getting into details. So, close?
Close.
Yes. Good. Next. Oh. Why did I say won't fix? Oh, just because you said we shouldn't. For once, wasn't me saying we shouldn't. I don't think we should add the with PVD here. Allowing with interface makes it work for that, so that should be allowed. I don't think we should prohibit interface scoped IDs.
I agree.
So that's okay. So this was one, not sure whether I like the split, and maybe this will be nicer. No. Should they be via PVD? No. And related to that, cleaner to allow interface scoped IP addresses. Okay, so just close. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, closing. Next, TCP in uppercase. Should it be in uppercase? That is in the text that talks about this whole naming thing. This kind of text that we were talking about, I think. And I can show you the text maybe. Section 4.1. Here, that thing, right? We looked at this long today. Lowercase letters A to Z, blah blah. And there is an example in here about a TCP connection could support a TCP-specific transport protocol property in the protocol-specific property called TCP user timeout value. Actually, now I think this is a bit weird to have small. Sorry, Philip.
If you're using camel cases as a namespace, you end up with small TCP. That's pretty logical.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But I mean, I was actually in favor of keeping it, but just looking at it now, I think that it's strange, right? Because it's a TCP connection.
Yeah, the TCP at this point has to be uppercase.
Yeah.
But
this one should be low.
Yeah, this one
that should be low, but that one should be uppercase.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. This is I think he meant that, and that should be uppercase. I looked at the other one. Okay, let's fix that.
Should the connection be uppercase here?
Probably also not. No, because the TCP connection.
I mean, it's a connection.
Right. No. Exactly.
Over TCP, right? So I think.
Yeah.
It's more that's confusing. I think that's.
It will be fixed. Should be TCP connection. Yes.
Yeah, Richard, rather maybe a connection running over TCP.
You think?
Using TCP, or I mean.
Let's see, because that was also because it's TCP specific property.
Right, but the connection is a transport services
connection
that is using TCP for the implementation. So.
Yes.
I think we have to be a bit careful of how we write what we write there. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it like that. I can self-assign. This is an easy one. I'll do that and remove the won't fix label. I will fix. Now. Okay, I need to refresh this. Half close clarification needed. Oh yeah. That one. He's asking for an interesting corner case. What happens if an app wants to half close without sending a message? So you do accept or connect followed by some flavor of shutdown. And I think there's a way to do it using an empty message that has final set, and it's not very explicit because we don't explicitly say that we can have empty messages, like messages not having any bytes. But if we make it too explicit, we just rub people's nose into the fact that people can do that weird thing.
Yep.
Which is why we want to just close it instead. Yeah.
Close.
That was it for the issues that we're not gonna fix. That's good. So now I wonder which ones should we look at?
Should we?
Yeah, the review must reply ones. I mean, some are already closed now, but these are all they need their compromise.
Let's look at all of those and make sure we have a resolution for them, because I want to make sure that we at least come out of today where there's at the very least an assigned person and a plan forward.
That one. Yeah. That one I never understood.
Source document talks about pre-connection, connection, and listener, but this document in section 3 places listener as a pre-connection. Hold on, let me go read section 3.
I just couldn't find it. I don't get this.
On the pre-connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Listening on means that the pre-connection stays there.
By creating a listener on the pre-connection, I think that would.
Or creating a listener from the pre-connection. Or
Yeah.
calling listen on the pre-connection to create a listener.
What?
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay, let me assign this to me. Let me take a quick.
Okay. Happily.
I think I know how to fix this.
Okay, now I get I didn't even get the problem. Let's see, there is also this one related. I think that's a similar. Yeah, that also, right? That must be the same confusion. Security parameters are primarily associated with the pre-connection object. Wouldn't these apply equally to the listener objects? I think that will auto-resolve when you clarify that the pre-connection becomes a listener.
Yeah.
So, or basically, the pre-connection stays there, but it's not used for anything.
Right.
Okay. Next, identity and server certificate forces the same use over different protocols. Yeah. Yeah, that looks like an important thing. Multiple identities, I wonder. Yeah, what do you folks think about this? And who wants to do it?
I'm already messing with. Hand me this one. This is.
Thank you.
I'm probably going to do this at the same time that I do Romans.
Okay. Good.
Because they're very close. They're very close to each other. And I think I have a way forward.
Single credentials for multiple protocols. Is this the same thing? That is also close, right? Mm-hmm. Thank you. Then we have NetFlow versus IP flows. Yeah, I think that one should be that one. I didn't put the label, but I think we should close that without action, actually, except that we need an answer.
Can we, my snarky reply when I read this one was, do we actually have to pretend that transport mode IPsec is a thing in 2023? Because it sounds kind of like Paul wants us to pretend that transport mode IPsec is a thing in 2023.
Perhaps it becomes one in 2030 after the universal deployment of IPv6.
Yeah, I mean,
I think a better answer is that no, it's out of scope. I mean,
yeah,
Arc, Gory is saying that Arc allows it, and Arc allows pretty much everything you want.
Yeah.
And the API doesn't have any binding for it.
I agree with Gory's
so probably
answer.
the protocol identifiers, you could come up with some stuff that that you wish in your implementation, I suppose.
I think we should go with Gory's answer because it's much more likely to lead to the discuss being lifted, whereas my answer is technically correct, but not likely to lead to the discuss being lifted.
Okay, so we keep that, and I say that there was a concern about an IANA registry that if we don't do it now, then we could have chaos in the future, I think. And yeah, like one day we can have an IANA registry for all the weird things you may want to run below if you wish.
Yeah.
So we close it without anything, right? I mean, for answering, we have to somebody has to go through these things that carry the label that are already closed anyway and develop answers. That's another. Yeah, reply using.
Geh mal mit runter.
Yeah. But do you want to add that to the command? Should I write that?
I think this, if you want to extend that stuff, you would do this as a security property sooner or later. But I don't think we need to do this today.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have, how does an application learn aloud available? Oh, the interface name thing. Oh, why did I assign that to myself even? Right, because we had agreed that this would be the easy way to do it, to just say that local endpoints returned by resolve should contain information about the available interfaces, and that this can be used. So I thought that sounds like a simple thing to do, and I can do it. Well, happy to give it somebody else. What is 947? Oh, this was something older. Sorry. This. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I can do that. I can try. I'll ask you to review and can propose a change and whatnot. Fine by me if somebody else does it. I was just trying to volunteer for things that looked easy for me to do. That is the last one. Carrying a review must reply, I believe. I can click it and see. Okay, so no. This one as well. Clarify ambiguity in security properties. But I think that's the one that Brian is already working on, right? That's that. So what do we do next? Just go through others. I put that there whenever there was a review saying this is only a partial review, so that if we do get more comments from the next review, we can find these things again so that we don't do them twice. That was my idea. So I don't try to solve a problem that we have already solved. So we could look at that and see, this and this and this part of this partial review is already done. At least I thought it might help for that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there are some that seemed easy. We can look through the unassigned ones. I mean, I have self-assigned a few that seemed easy enough for me to assign. And I haven't even gone through absolutely all of them, I think. Yeah, I'll just take it from the top. Define words related to connection states. I don't know what to make of that. The connection state, which can be, again, I don't really get why. Property names if the goal is to have implementations just different. I just don't understand it. I mean, there's a state, it has these names. People are gonna write them as they want. If I write connection state and bracket state, that's not gonna make people more likely to call the state state. What's even the point? I just don't get it. We could close it, but we need probably, I mean, should answer.
I mean, this sounds pretty TCP specific to me, and more specific than what's written about the connections. Like when I read this concern about connections being used to send or receive data, I'm guessing that there's something about half open or half closed connections being thought of, and that just doesn't fit in at all to the idea of connection state because it assumes TCP.
Yeah, like you're either ready to send or to receive or both, and established doesn't really mean anything precisely.
Right. Establishing could be a state that's like, I have an outstanding request and I don't know whether it's, reached the destination host, right? That's not necessarily like I've done, SYN and gotten an ACK back.
But it doesn't actually read like that's the concern here, is it? I mean, this seems to be just about the wording and about using terms that would be reused across multiple different implementations. Like in your implementation, you would have a term like ready send or ready receive as a keyword. I don't know. To me, that's all just too much. I honestly don't know what to do with that. Somebody, come on.
Sorry, you made me realize that I was reading this incorrectly, so I'm rebuilding my context.
Yeah, because I understand what you said. I mean, I understand that concern, but probably, I don't know. But that it's about the text, right?
Yeah, but I also don't understand exactly what it says. I mean, or what is being
about
asked
having
for.
a portable API that maybe in the API you would have a term like ready send or ready receive, and that would be the same in all API implementations.
Where would we discover ready send and ready receive?
Probably I can take a look.
We have some of these states as events, but only some.
Yeah. The queried connection properties will include different information. Aha. There you go. Depending on the status.
Okay, that's right.
Whether can
Okay, I kind of get it.
There you
like,
have
okay,
half
it says
closed things.
whether the connection can be used to send data. Like, how does it tell me that?
Yeah. Now I understand it better. It's not really specified how that looks. Oh, now I get it in that context here.
Yeah, I think because we use the events there, we don't have a mechanism to query the state of the connection.
No, we don't really have that.
The question is, do we need that?
Probably, yeah. I mean, you want to know if the connection is established or not. If we do have events for absolutely everything happening, then maybe not.
Evil question,
If everything is covered.
For Tommy, how are they doing it? How are you doing it in the implementation?
Hold on, audio. Here we go. I mean, the connection state, we just get that. But for
I think there is still some confusion here in the comment, right? Because this whether the connection can be used to send data is not a result of the connection state. It's a result of what properties was used during what selection properties
Both.
were used, right?
Both. I mean, as long as it's not established, you can't send anything either.
Yeah. Okay, sure. But is that what should then be added? For that you can only make this query for established connections? Because there is not a state that can be connected to this whether you can send the data or not, right? Or at least not ready send or ready receive. Because ready send is in the common when he says ready send, I think he's thinking about something else, right? If you have an established connection that was set to directional, you can still not send. But I agree that maybe for each of these bullets, it should be clear in what states you can query those parts.
Yeah, it's too lax in the writing, right? It just says you can somehow query this, but it doesn't really specify how. Whereas all the other things we specify in much greater detail.
Okay, you mean he's asking for how to query it?
I think so. I mean, it says up here, right? It says here that depending on the status of the connection, the queried connection properties will include different information. That's what I now think. So you can query these connection properties, and then we don't specify how that really looks. I think that's why he's proposing names and things.
Okay, so he wants the name for querying the connection.
Yeah, I mean, like we have other, for instance, readable properties only, and then it could be an integer, or it could be whatever, and here we just don't really say what that is. And similarly this. So these are basically read-only properties.
Can you go up a little bit? Because that's the query, right?
Oh, here, this one.
Yeah,
Connection get properties.
Get properties.
If connection
Okay, so we
properties
could have the
has.
name of the property there.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
No,
Like
this
state, for
is
example, instead
what,
of property, could say state, and then state could have one of these 4 values, and so forth.
yeah, or is this the defining the first part here? Connection properties. What do you get back if you query all of them?
No, this is as long since I last read this.
I think it belongs.
This seems to be pretty old text.
The first question, but the first item in the 3, right? Connection properties. Then you get back everything.
Yeah, you get the state, you get
kind
whether it can be used to send data, whether it can be used to receive data, exactly. And then for some also these.
Yeah.
So I mean I can make a try. I can make this like a enumeration or something, a tuple.
I guess I have a follow-up, which is in the subsequent sections on generic connection properties and TCP specific properties. Are those grouped into this? Is that something that also comes back with the connection properties? And if so, is that where we should be specifying these states?
The connection property itself, you mean?
Yeah.
What is that even? Non-negative input representing? No, it's priority. It's called priority.
Yeah, I just mean in the context of these various properties. Like, is that where this should go, or?
Well, so all of these properties you should be able to set and read. Like this, right? You have set property, and you can also get all the available properties that are there, and you can get the property.
Yeah,
so yes,
so this
I mean I should be able to call this with receive checksum len or con priority.
Yeah, so this belongs to the second question or second line in that.
In the
yeah, in the 3 you have there. The first one belongs.
sorry. In these. Sorry.
I mean, the one you have marked blue now, that belongs to the other properties, right? That's the property you plug in.
Yeah.
In the connection properties get, there you put that property. But the connection properties, the line above, that gives you the generic ones that are specified in the block underneath. This is what I understand it, at least.
No, I would have thought this gives you all of them, and then because this is a get on that, right? It's connection properties dot get. So out of this bunch of all of them, you ask for a specific one.
Yeah.
And then it says if connection properties has, I don't know what this particular.
Yeah. So then what is the property that gives me the state?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
okay.
there should be a read-only property for the connection state. There should be a Boolean property on whether it can send data, whether it can receive these things, right?
Yeah.
That is true. That is really missing. Should be read-only. I can do this. See section 8 again. I'll call it to do. So the command, and I'll assign it to myself. I can do that. Can at least
But
make a
maybe
start.
check also if all of them are needed. Because the
Yeah,
one if
I mean, some
ready
are
to
maybe already
print,
implicitly covered by the properties that we have. You know, maybe some is
exactly,
already there. Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. We have already covered. Yes, now I'll do it carefully. Okay, at least now it's understood. How to set remote PS identity or certificate. Set seems to allow to set our identity and our certificate, but not the remote PS identity or certificate. For example, one might want to pin a remote certificate, not just rely on a with host name identifier. Right. So what about that?
I'll take this one.
Thank you. Add local endpoint with ephemeral port to the example. Someone. Gory thinks it's a good idea. Ephemeral port should be the far more common case.
Yeah, that sounds like a good thing to give an example of.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Thank you. This one, yeah, that looked to me like it might be an easy one, but I didn't even get to read it in detail. So. The array contains at least the host and the done server candidate. This is just the difference between you using the variable versus this one. See, like. I don't know. Anybody want to take it?
Are we trying to signify that remote candidates is a type or a variable? And I think that if we that in the context of the connection or the context of the example, then it solves this problem.
I don't know.
I mean, I think looking at the example, it's confusing because like there's a comment above it. Application specific code goes here to receive the list of remote candidates from peer via the signaling channel. So like it defines, hand wavy defines remote candidates as an list type object above that, but it doesn't show how that is assigned to.
Right. Oh yeah, here.
So I think this spelling is correct. We don't want this isn't a prototype. This is passing an object.
Should I just assign that to Colin and see what happens? Is that the right strategy?
I think this is a no-op. I mean, we have later on an example pre-connection.add remote with remote endpoint specified in type form in the rendezvous section. So I mean, the spelling's correct everywhere. I think this is. I don't think this needs anything.
Because it's. I mean, here it's like that, right? Okay, this is getting an array.
Yeah.
And you're saying that it wouldn't need an array in that example. Wouldn't it syntactically, just as a simple syntax thing, require this bracket here? Just to indicate, maybe not, maybe just in the signature. I don't know. This is, I mean, we're just inventing syntax of a language that doesn't exist anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do, what to answer. Shall we? We believe it's okay. Not sure if this needs anything. It seems correct. Is that what you're saying?
It's not ambiguously incorrect, or not unambiguously incorrect.
I mean, I'm doubting myself now. Helpfully, because in the rendezvous section where it assigns to local endpoint and remote endpoint from preconnection.resolve, those are specified with the brackets.
Aha.
And so the set of remote endpoint candidates are then configured onto the preconnection, which then uses the brackets. And so this stops looking like.
Yeah, it looks like it's one thing.
Yeah, like it's trying to signal a type, because it looks like it's referencing the above example. And then actually there aren't any other cases where add remote is used that doesn't have the brackets, except for the one example that's called out.
I'll assign it to Colin and see what he says. I mean, he wrote that, I think. Right? Let's do that.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Hey, folks. By my count, we've got like 26 issues to go and 12 minutes in the slot. So just wanted to float the reality that it looks like we're going to need to meet again. I'm assuming that we'll do it after the IETF. You know, we're getting into the holidays. What are the IETF meeting dates? It's usually like the second week in November, first week in November. Yeah. So, yeah, although, you know, this isn't heavy lifting, but I think it seems like the discussion is valuable just to get like concurrence that there's no, you know, nuances being missed. So, you know, let's do a doodle for like the remainder of November. And I know Americans will be blocked around Thanksgiving, but let's see, maybe the week before or immediately after, we can find something that works. Any objections to that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's keep moving. We got 10 more minutes and march right through it. And I'm speaking for Reese. He's having some problems with the microphone, so just trying to move things along.
Okay.
Carry on.
What is credentials? Especially because previously we have my certificate, so it is unclear if this now contains my key, and if so, where in the previous example my key was conveyed to TAPS.
So I
Please,
got rid
Brian.
of the keys. Yeah, give it to me.
Thank you. I love it. Love it when you say that.
I don't, but you know. I don't know. If you give me one more Paul Witters thing, I am going to answer the transport mode IPsec thing. Just to.
No, one more. I mean, come on. I just clicked on the one.
Yeah, give this one to me. This one is already. This one is already. I've already fixed this.
Yeah, right. I thought this would be covered by the
other.
others. We have enough about that entity.
Yep.
Yep. Wrong IP address, an example. Yeah, that's for the IP addressing specialists. I have no idea, honestly. I'm not an IP addressing man. Any network administrators here? It's in the standard example ranges.
Yeah, 6676. I'm looking at it. Yes. Although I don't see. I don't see
We can
that
assign
range.
it to him then if we agree.
Well, so you mentioned 233.251, and I don't see that range. Like
Okay.
it's probably an off by one typo. It's 233.252/24.
Right.
So, well, let's just take care when we review it to check RFC. Okay. Yes, there is. Sorry, I was reading 231, not 251. Sorry, the screen is small on my view.
I can make it bigger a bit. Okay, I'll give it to you then. Yeah, it should be trivial for somebody who knows anything about IP addressing. Like I don't actually. Wrong IP address. Why didn't we overload with IP address for multicast? That it's a design choice. That we don't do that, and we have with multicast group ID. Yeah, well, I don't know why we did that. Somebody decided for that. It's okay with me. Yeah. I don't know. Can just say with IP address can get a multicast group ID as well.
You have to do error handling anyway. What if you specify multicast address with options that imply unicast? Like I don't.
Is that possible?
I don't think it saves any need for error handling. You still have to handle like semantic errors.
My suggestion is to assign it to Colin because he probably had a reason to write it like that, and he can at least answer. I mean, it doesn't need an answer technically, but give a reason for why we've made that decision, or rethink in case he thinks it's better. I mean, of course, if there is no reason to have a separate call, then I don't understand why wouldn't we just have with IP address, honestly. I mean, it's not...
We had a case with we needed the multicast address to correctly specify ASN. Or no, sorry, SSN. It was a lengthy discussion, and if you have SSN, and if you may want to bind the local endpoint, you end up that you need to specify the multicast group address on the remote endpoint specifically, and then you need both the group ID, the local side, and this one.
Okay.
I remember myself last year in Philly sitting with the grumpy old guy.
Yeah, grumpy troll.
With grumpy troll, and
What's his name?
taking us a day to get that right.
Okay. Is that answer good enough? There's a need for this when using SSN?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least from my perspective.
Okay. But then maybe we can just close it with that. I mean, certainly there's no harm in having with multicast group ID as a separate call, right? There's no harm in it. So that implementers of transport systems don't make a shortcut to say, just make it a part of with IP address. Maybe, yeah. Yeah. Can I assign that to Phil, who says he has no idea anymore? Why? Do you remember it well enough so that you can?
Yes, I can get
Okay.
the text.
Poor you.
That was my hackathon project.
Okay, then you can dig it up from the code at least. You can see in the code where
No.
there's and then you can
writing the text and getting it right for the API was the hackathon project. That took long enough.
Okay. With IP address, this programmer can't know that all endpoints are the same service. If more than one remote endpoint is specified on a pre-connection, then all the remote endpoints should represent the same service. Yeah, there's a lower case should, because how would the programmer or the API verify whether all endpoints are the same service? There's a related one also where he complains about saying something should be all the same host. And I think we even have that with a uppercase should, and I think it's a valid argument, valid point to raise. It's not easy to know, is it?
I mean, it's unknowable. You can't know whether the service that you're connecting to is owned by an attacker in the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
So
okay, that yeah, but okay, but right.
Or one host of that set is owned, and so will provide different service.
But by specifying it in the API, I'm already claiming that I'm convinced that they provide the same service. Otherwise, I wouldn't.
Yeah, maybe that text should go away. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We can just leave it at that. I think we made quite a bit of progress.
I'm going to finish my big security roll-up thing and send it out for review before I'm off, but expect that today.
Many thanks.
Good work, everybody. Thanks
Thanks
for continuing to show
Thanks
up.
all.
We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye all.
Bye-bye.